Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the recap of The Last of Us. We are here every week to discuss the latest episode. You can catch our recaps anytime, available on most major podcast platforms, including here on YouTube. So get new and past episodes for free in the app of your choice. For those of you joining us live tonight, thanks for taking out of your evening to be here. I am your host, Tamara, and I love a good TV show and good books. So if you'd like to reach out to me, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at The Recap Pods. And if you're into books, you can also find me at Shelf Addiction. Joining me is show co-host Lisa. Welcome, Lisa.
Hey, Tamara. Hey, everyone. My name is Lisa Orban. I'm an author. I am also the founder of Indies United Publishing House, and I love all things pop culture. So if you'd like to connect with me online, you can find me pretty much everywhere at Lisa Orban Author or at Indies United Pub.
All right. So before we get started, we just like to remind you that we do want your participation in this conversation. So if you are listening live, hit us up in the chat, in the comment section, and share what you like about the episodes. If you're catching this on a replay, you can still leave comments, or you can call in by using the voicemail link in the show notes. So we do want to hear from you and possibly include your comments in upcoming episodes. So don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you are listening. If you are new to the podcast, we are laid back in our review style, right, Lisa?
Absolutely, Tamara. This is a conversation, not a dissertation.
Yes, no scene by scene breakdowns here. We jump around. And of course, huge spoiler alert for the TV show. We didn't play the game, so don't worry, we won't spoil anything on that front. But if you're cool with that, this is the place for you. And we should jump right on in because we have 2 episodes to talk about today.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah, so we're going to do episodes 7 and 8, and hopefully we can manage to keep them separate, but who knows? You never know. We could try.
Well, I will say that both episodes 7 and 8 pretty much circled around Ellie.
Mm-hmm.
Joel was there kind of in the background, but both episodes were very much focused on Ellie.
Yes, and I think that is by design.
Yeah.
I have my own theories, but it's more important for us to know and connect with Ellie than it is for Joel. And you can take what you want from that.
Well, I do know that there's a lot of spoilers going around based on the video games.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I haven't seen them, but I have a strong suspicion.
Yeah, I accidentally read some spoilers, and that and my boyfriend let the cat out of the bag before I watched the first episode.
Oh no. Okay. Okay, we won't say anything else. Sorry, y'all. If y'all know, you know. If you don't, we won't spoil it for you too.
But it's everywhere. I mean, they're everywhere, about their what they think's going to happen with Joel.
Now we know TV shows have deviated from source material before. So
they have, but I will say that the show, from everything I've seen, is very closely following the video game. Now they are expanding on things.
Yeah.
Kind of like with the Frank and Bill episode. That was,
but they're following the path, though.
But they're following the path. So,
which, I kind of suspected. See, the reason why I suspected was not because of spoilers, but because of Disney. I bet Disney said, sure, go ahead and do what you want. But as long as you're locked and loaded for The Mandalorian forever.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing that takes too much time.
Right. So, I mean, so jumping into episode 7.
Yes.
So we got that. We have wounded Joel, and she's managed to drag him to a basement, and she has no idea what to do. And he's telling her, "Just go back, find my brother." And we finally see how she got infected, with the flashback. I will say, because I know that you and I have in the past have complained about the way they've used flashbacks in other shows.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the way they've been using him in this one.
Yeah, and actually we got the okay, so the reason why the flashback worked for me is not only did we get to see where it all began, but it supported why she would not give up on Joel, right?
Exactly.
Why she would not leave him. So it
Hmm.
tied together. It wasn't this sporadic, throw shit in there for the sake of throwing it in. It
Right.
all connected.
Well, and I'm a lot of times they're flashback scenes. They're not like 5 or 10 minutes. They're an episode.
Yeah,
So they're it's a story unto itself,
right.
and which I think makes a big difference too. That you're delving into the psyche of what is making a person tick. Because if we hadn't had the big flashback with like Frank and Bill, we never would have understood what that town was and what they meant to Joel or what their significance were, other than hey, we got a truck from them.
Hmm.
And because it's a world full of dead people. But
Well, this also, like, the whole thing at the end of that episode, her friend, her best friend pretty
mhm,
much says, "Look, we don't give up. We
right.
don't we have 2 hours or 2 days, right? We're
Mhm.
going to fight." And so that is something she took to heart. And so she's not going to give up in whatever. Even through episode 8, she's not giving up.
Yeah.
She's not calling it quits ever. So that resonated with her, and I think that's gonna be, like, a staple for her, like, throughout
Mhm.
the entirety of this series.
Well, cuz when the episode first started, she's listening to a Walkman and just kind of shuffling along in the as they run when everyone else is passing her,
Mhm.
and the fight ensues. And she's like, "Your friend ain't here no more." I don't need my friend. And just busts her, puts her in the infirmary, stitches, and she's
Yes.
rather pleased with herself too.
As she should be. I mean, honestly, so it seems like her friend has always been the one defending her.
Hmm.
Always, you know, the boisterous, loud, that aggressor.
Right,
And they had no clue Ellie had that in there.
right. Well, I think
Surprise.
up to that point, because her friend was older. She was 17. She was aging out of the orphanage program into she had gotten her assignment,
Which was
and
a crappy assignment.
literally.
Yes.
And so I mean, she was bigger, she was older, and had been protective of Ellie. So up to that point, Ellie really probably didn't need to. She obviously had been in trouble before, because when she's sitting before the commander, he's like, this is she'd been in the hole 3 times already.
Mhm.
And but it also kind of shows this whole how the system is working. You can be, one way or another. If Ellie stayed in that city, she was going to be a soldier, period.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
She didn't have a choice in that.
Right.
It just depended on what kind of soldier. Was she going to be an officer who got to have the good meals and the heat in the winter and the air conditioning in the summer and the good meds, and the good life? Or was she going to have the shit job that her friend got? Um,
Which is weird because do you remember in the first episode, Joel was asking for a job and he
mhm.
said, "What pays the best?" And it was that job,
Yeah.
shoveling shit, basically. And
Well, it was the
that was
dead.
the
It
what?
was the dead, shoveling the dead, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I think that was like a that's what I wonder though. Like, because, Riley would have gotten that bad job, maybe it would have paid more. Because it seems like they pay more to the jobs that no one wants to do. Although she would not be in the position to give orders, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? I wonder if she would have made more
Well,
money.
I mean, she pretty much told Ellie that, it was going to be a crap job with crap pay,
Mhm.
in barracks. And, it was going to be minimal. It was going to be slightly above the civilian population, because
But
at least
not
it
by
was a
much.
guaranteed job. You didn't have to
Mhm.
sign up for it. You were, guaranteed quarters, guaranteed food. It wasn't going to be the greatest, but you were guaranteed it.
Yeah.
But that it was only a step above civilian.
Yeah.
And
Well,
because with the civilians, it was there was no such thing as a regular job. Every day you signed up for something,
yeah, that's true. But,
and
after all of that, though, it was so sad to me, like, you could tell, like, they had, like, a interesting friendship, but you could tell pretty immediately from an outsider's point of view that they liked each other.
oh yeah, well, and I think part of it is I mean Ellie's young,
Well, she was, like,
and
what, 15? Is that right, at that point in time?
I don't. Well, how old is she now? Because I was thinking
Um,
she was only 14.
well, I don't think even a year has passed since the beginning of
It
this
hasn't.
show.
It's been about 4 months.
Yeah, so I think she's, like, 15, honestly.
Okay, and so but her friend's 17,
Mhm.
and I don't think Ellie's ever been kissed. I
No,
think
probably not.
I also think that she's been, the girls are pretty much separated from the boys. I don't think they're given a whole lot of freedom. They do sneak out, but that's not is frowned upon. But yeah, it's a very sequestered life, and and she has these feelings, for her roommate. But I don't think up until she found out she was leaving, did she find the courage to even try and act on it? Because you can see her the whole time that she's with her, that kind of where she kind of starts to speak, and and then she pulls herself back, and then she starts, nope, no, she
Yeah,
wants
honestly,
to.
if it weren't for Ellie, like, stepping up and just taking the chance, they Riley clearly wasn't gonna make the first move. It wasn't gonna happen. They would just
Right,
have they would have said goodbye in this awkward way.
right.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think both of them felt very awkward. They didn't want to be rejected.
Mhm.
I mean, oh, fear of rejection. God, especially as a teenager. Oh, that's hard.
I
You
know, like,
know?
even think back to when you were a teenager, and you might have liked someone, and you don't know if they like you, or you like someone that is a friend, right?
Right.
To take the chance, hell, even adults don't wanna do that with adult friends, like, if you take the chance and you read it wrong, then you've ruined a friendship.
Right. Well, and here's and with that added layer of teenagers are mean,
Yes.
and rejection can be brutal.
Indeed.
You someone that you think that you're really close to, and if you read the room wrong, it could just, I mean, it could ruin your social life.
Mhm.
It
Well, I
could
mean,
break
her
up.
social life's already trash, but
Right. But I mean, it can break up your social circle, and at this point, uh, she's Ellie's only friend, really. You can see that nobody else really likes her there. She doesn't talk to anyone else. There's no one else that comes to her, jumps up and says, "Whoa." I mean, she's on her own.
yeah.
And so, to take that step and take that risk, I mean, she's literally gambling everything.
But, I wonder if this is the time that she chose to gamble it because her friend had been gone for weeks.
Yeah.
So, she doesn't have any other friends, and what's the worst that happened? Her friend disappeared for another couple weeks at this point.
Well, no, because she didn't say anything until after.
I
Um,
can't remember now if that she said
it
that after she said she was did she kiss her after she knew she was leaving or before
Yes,
she knew she
it
was
was
leaving?
after. It
Okay,
was
then all the more reason.
Yeah,
What's the risk?
exactly.
You're
At that
leaving.
point, it was a do or die situation, literally.
Mhm.
And so it was in. I can't. What was the friend's name? Do you remember?
Riley.
Riley. I mean,
Mhm.
and obviously Riley has been thinking about Ellie. She
Mhm.
set this whole, 5, with this escalator, magical things. And she has gone through, and, she had fixed the carousel so it would work. She had, pried open the quarter thing so that they could play a video game. And she had practiced on the video game.
I know, that was so awesome.
She
Actually, I
found
love that scene.
yeah, I mean, she found the joke book that,
Mhm.
the puns that Ellie loves so much. And
That was a really sweet date.
It was. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what it was. It was a date.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But Ellie wasn't sure. This was
Mm-hmm.
her friend, and she was showing her around, but it was a date.
It was, but it
And
was also a goodbye, which sucks.
right. So it
Yeah.
was I mean, there was a lot of planning that went into that.
Yeah.
So, and Riley even said that she had tried to get the Fireflies to let her take Ellie with, and they said no.
Right.
So she was, even thinking about her before. And we also find out that Ellie wasn't all that impressed with the Fireflies.
No, because at that time, it's like she just got finished drinking the Kool-Aid, so to speak,
Yeah.
right? She just had that sit down with the, headmaster type guy,
hmm
and he's telling her what her life could be, what she could
Yeah.
have.
And she's thinking, and she's looking at it, she's like, air conditioning, heat, good food,
Yeah.
nice place, sounds pretty awesome. We also find out that, she's, you they all along, she's very, very smart.
Yes.
She has leadership skills. She has what it takes if she chooses to do so. She's just been a problem child throughout.
Right.
And, but yeah, it was, she, and honestly, I don't even think that it was just drinking the Kool-Aid at that particular point. I really don't think she thought much of the Fireflies. I think
No, she thought that they were dangerous and basically terrorists.
right. And her, and she kept telling Riley, we can change it from the inside. And that's when
Mhm.
Riley told her, I've got shit detail.
Yeah.
How am I going to change anything?
You can't from that seat.
Right. And and I really think that shocked Ellie, because I think Ellie thought that she was on the same trajectory as herself.
Yeah,
To
and
become an
I wish
officer.
we kinda got a little bit more on why that was given to her, like,
hmm
other than, to me, at surface level, what seems obvious. I would like to know, like, was she a bad student, quote, unquote? Did they, not what was it? How did she get stuck with that?
Right. And I was curious about that too. And I wish they had delved a little bit more into it.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, but it was a shock for Ellie, because I think she had this idea in her head that the two of them would become officers together, would have this good life, like together. And and that was all kind of dashed when, Riley told her everything.
Not only that, so they're having a great time, tra-la-line through the mall. And of course, the whole time I'm waiting, I'm like, okay, when's the other shoe gonna drop? When's
Right.
it gonna drop? Because there is no way you can have this much happiness without it being totally demolished. There's
Oh
just no
yeah.
way this show is gonna allow that. Um, and then we see there is one of the thingies, whatever they're called, clickers, whatever. I don't know what they're
That
called at
was a
that pace.
bloater, I think.
Was it? I don't
I
know.
don't know.
But he's sitting there and I'm like, wow, she's been living. So Riley's been living in this mall
For weeks.
for weeks. And I guess she's never been loud enough to wake
hmm
it
Well,
until
they
they're
were
together.
yelling and, laughing, and they weren't being quiet.
Yeah.
And when you're alone, you do tend to be more quiet,
Mm-hmm.
just because there's no one to share the noise with.
Yes. Even when playing a video game, you're going to be quiet.
hmm
There's no excitement. There's no. Well, I've heard some people yell at video games, but in
Yeah,
general, you're the energy isn't there, right?
right.
So
It's more muttering under your breath.
yeah,
So if you're not, and there's no person on the other side of this video game. There's no internet, there's no anything. You're playing by yourself. So, maybe an occasional woohoo, but
yeah,
you're not really exuberant about it because there's no one to share it with. But when Riley brought Ellie in, there was someone to share it with.
I mean, they
And
were kind of being loud all throughout that place.
right. And I don't think Riley thought too much of it because again, she'd been there for weeks, and the Fireflies had supposedly gone through the whole building and checked it over. How they missed this guy, I do not know.
I don't know, because it was just like in it wasn't hidden.
Yeah,
It
he
was
was just in one of the
in the
far.
hallway.
He was in the hallway in one of the back rooms that wasn't really well lit.
Yeah.
But and maybe they weren't all that concerned because they figured, again, generally people by themselves don't make a lot of noise.
Yeah. Yeah. But
So,
yeah, wild, right? So that thing comes for them, and when it
mhm,
does, it's like, oh, it catches them off guard. They're like dancing on top of the, display
the Blake
case,
Cave,
having a good old time, and then oh, surprise.
yeah.
And that was a fight. That was a that was a tussle.
Oh yeah. And they were I mean they so close. You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't, it it hadn't really gotten the best of them per se. It just unfortunately got him enough.
Yeah, like with the adrenaline running, like, when Ellie took the thing down, she jumped up like, yeah, she was like thinking they
Woo!
free, and then no, you're not.
Right. Although I gotta say that was a hell of a kill shot.
Yeah, it was.
So I mean, and it's kind of funny because when we see her with Joel, he very much has wrapped her in swaddling, and you know, and and here she is. I mean, she's not incompetent. Of
No.
course, she's geared entirely towards city living, so she doesn't know how to survive outside of the city. But she's not entirely incompetent.
No, she's
So
smart. She's a smart kid.
right, she's smart and she's strong, and she's willing to do what needs to be done.
I think part of that, she's had that training as an officer. They're running laps or whatever they're doing in
Right,
their little training stuff. So she's not a complete weakling, right? She can defend herself.
exactly.
Yeah.
It was kind of interesting because so this is prior to meeting Joel and stuff, and this is her being strong and confident, and well, maybe not confident, but she didn't run away.
No.
She didn't leave her friend behind, and she could have,
Yeah, she could have ran, but she didn't.
but she didn't. And so I mean, she's loyal and courageous because courageous means doing the right thing even when you're terrified.
Oh yeah.
And so she was very courageous, and so it was really interesting to see her be so strong after watching Joel basically again wrap her in swaddling and not let her do anything.
I know. It's like he started like toward the end there, he started teaching her a little thing here or there, but he really
Hmm.
could have given her a lot more
Oh yeah,
than he
you know,
did.
4 months on the road,
Yeah.
he could have made her much more of a survivalist. But I get the impression that part of the reason he didn't is he was trying to preserve what little was
Yeah,
left
she's a
of her
child. You shouldn't have
her
to, right?
childhood. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was his way of trying to preserve her childhood. And it's admirable, but it's not realistic either.
I think it was a little misguided because again, he's thinking of like not on purpose, but in his subconscious, he's comparing her to his daughter the whole time.
Oh yeah.
And this is what he would want for his daughter, right?
Right.
So
Because
he doesn't
adulthood's
know the
brutal.
past. Right.
And I think he was trying to keep her from that brutality just a little bit longer.
No,
And
she's seen some stuff and
yeah.
she about to see some more in the next episode. But at the end of this episode, though, if it wasn't for Riley, they would have Ellie would have killed herself.
Mhm.
And she would have never learned that she was immune.
Yeah. And I mean, and you can kind of see after she got bit, basically just going through and destroying that entire shop.
Mm-hmm.
And Riley's sitting there going, I think you missed one right over there.
Look, that was a rage. She like raged. Like,
And I understand that feeling
yeah.
when you are just that.
You feel hopeless. Like you thought
Yeah,
you did it. You got, and this is what happens. Like effing A, man, right? Like I understand that. I
yeah,
can and she high emotion. She thinks she's gonna turn to one of these things, It's like
right.
just
Well, and not
yeah.
just her, but Riley, the
Yeah.
girl that she loves.
Yeah.
When things, where they had their very first kiss, and
And
you
not
know
only that, she told her not to leave and she said okay.
exactly. So everything was, for like this one brief moment, and it was so brief.
It
She
was
had
so
everything she wanted.
perfect.
It
Yes,
was
in that
perfect.
1 second, it was all taken away.
Yep. And I think so. It wasn't just that rage. I don't think was just because she was, you know, possibly going to, or as far as she was concerned, she was going to die. It was everything she had wanted was just ripped away
Yes.
in that one moment.
Mhm.
She couldn't even console herself with, but I saved Riley.
No, because she's gonna die too.
Yeah. It was just everything was lost after a perfect date, even.
I know. It was, like, such a perfect time and then just trashed, like, oh.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, she was feeling it, man.
Oh, yeah, she
Feeling it.
was. She
I
was.
am kind of and I am a little bit curious because they didn't, they just kind of faded out of the flashback, but um how the fireflies found them, and I'm also wondering if Ellie had to kill Riley,
Riley.
or
Yeah,
if it
I
was the
wonder that.
fireflies.
I wonder if we'll go back and hear maybe we don't have to see it, but maybe Ellie can tell it at
Yeah,
one point.
because I think that's important for her character development to know which it was, whether it was the fireflies came upon him and Ellie was still, coherent,
Mhm.
and um, Riley had at that point had the shakes and was mute, or if Ellie had killed Riley and was just waiting to die
Wow.
herself.
Well, if she killed Riley, if she had to, that means Riley probably tried to attack her.
Hmm.
'Cause she would wait till the ninth hour to try to do anything to her, you know?
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That she had turned, and she defended herself.
Which would mean that would be so sad because that means in episode 5, that means that would have been the second time, like, someone attacked her like that,
Hmm. Yeah.
after
So
turning in front of
yeah.
her. Yeah.
So I really I'm curious which it is, because I think that's important to know how she died. If it was by Ellie's hand or if it was by the fireflies.
Mhm.
Because by the fireflies would still be hard on her. Don't get me wrong. It would be hard. But if she was the one that did it, oh, that would be devastating.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
that's
I don't know. I guess I would yeah, I agree
that's
with you.
Joel level guilt.
Yeah,
You know?
I too would like to know, but I feel like maybe she didn't because at the time that we met her, she she didn't seem like in a low, you know what I mean? She was mouthy, she was, witty, and she just didn't seem like she just killed her friend the other day or the other week or however
But I
long
took
had
a lot of that as bravado.
Yeah,
She
no
was
15-year-old is that good.
well. I mean, she had no idea what they were going to do. She didn't trust the fireflies. She was scared to death, and and even I'm sure she was even wondering, am I going to turn this? What is going on? So
Well, when the fireflies had her, her wound was healed.
yeah,
So, clearly she knew she wasn't gonna turn anymore, right? I don't but the timing of that, like, how much time had passed
hmm
between those 2 situations
yeah.
is
Well,
questionable.
and we also know that when we first saw Ellie, she was chained up. She was not friendly with her captors.
Mm-mm.
This was not. She had not warmed up to them, and they were not warmed up to her.
Which just makes me also think maybe they did, like, quote unquote, rescue her away or something. You know what I mean? Maybe they
Mhm.
did grab her, nab her, went in there, because that's where they hid their bombs. Maybe they went
Right.
in there and saw what was going on and,
Well,
nabbed her.
because we know from Riley that they were coming the next day to ship her out.
Mhm.
Um, so them there or while they're waiting in the mall, it's not probably going to be but a couple of hours. Maybe up to 12. I'm not sure if they were going to. I think she said they
Well,
were
it
coming
was
for in the
coming on
morning.
the morning because remember Riley was talking about she had to get back because she had to be there for practice or whatever the hell they had going on.
No,
I
Ellie had to be back at the school for,
Yeah.
and then Riley was waiting to be, said that
Isn't
she
that
was
what
going
I
to be picked
said? Did
up.
I say Riley? I
Yeah,
meant
you did.
Ellie.
Yeah,
So, because Ellie was the one who was leaving. She
right.
left and came back. She was almost out the
Mhm.
door and came back. And
Mhm.
she's like, "I need to go." Um, so I think it probably was closer to, I don't know, maybe 4 to 6 hours after if they
Right.
came back looking for Riley to take her.
Mhm. That's why I said I don't know if they said that I can't remember if Riley said they were coming for in the morning or the evening, but
Yeah, I
I knew
don't
they were
know.
going to ship her out that day.
Mhm.
So, that's, it would have been, 4 to 12 hours after they were attacked, depending on what time.
And I don't think we actually have seen how long it takes because like Riley says it 2 days, 2 hours or 2 days.
Right.
So, I don't think we ever have had, like, a clear, okay, you die and then you turn, or you
Mhm.
turn after, we've never gotten clarity on, it's kind of murky on
Well,
how
I
long
think
it
it depends
takes.
on the person. I think it's individualized.
Mm,
'Cause, the little kid, he was attacked, it was night, and by the next morning had turned.
yeah. So that
So
could have been 5 hours or that could have been 8 hours.
right. So my guess is they probably came for Riley that evening to ship her out. Because my guess is they move at night.
Well, then think about though, like, back to the first episode. That old granny, she turned fast, seemed like a couple hours maybe,
Mhm.
if that. I don't know. So,
I mean, but age,
yeah.
how infected they are. Uh, I'm sure there's, you know, it's kind of like the flu. It hits some people really fast and hard, some slow, some not at all. So I think it's individualized. But my
Mm,
guess is if Riley and Ellie were both still alive when the fireflies found them, Riley was far enough along
they
that
knew
there
what
was
was
a
happening.
distinct difference between the two of them.
Mhm. So maybe they
So,
did take her out. Maybe they did.
because if it had only been like an hour or so, it wouldn't be that unusual for both of them to still be talkative, and because they weren't, it's not like they were planning on looking for people that were immune. So either Ellie killed Riley and told him what happened,
Mhm.
or Riley was pretty much gone at that point, but she was perfectly fine.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll have to see. Hopefully they'll reveal that and won't just, drop it. Maybe we'll
Yeah.
get a little tidbit later and find out
Hmm.
how that went down. That would be
Yeah.
nice to know. But I liked that episode. I really did. It was a good one.
Hmm. And then and it segues nicely into the next one because Joel is still hurt,
Yes.
and but at the end of episode 7, that's when she comes back from her deja vu. She's like, "No, I'm going to save him," and so she's searching through the house for anything she can,
Anything.
and she finds needle and thread.
Oh man, I'm like, ouch, that's gonna hurt. But
Oh
he's so
God, you
knocked out,
think?
it doesn't matter.
No, he was awake.
I know, but he's in so much pain already. I'm like, he'll probably just pass out.
Yeah,
Like,
and I think he eventually did, but there was a determination there,
yeah.
and
She said she's not gonna let him die, right? She already
yeah.
lost one person. At this point, it was clear to us from the last episode 6 that she
Hmm.
thinks Joel is her new person, right?
Yeah.
So
He is
she's
her guy.
not gonna let him die if she can help it.
Mm-hmm. You know,
So,
and she knows her importance. She does. But
mm-hmm.
at the same time, she's still not putting her survival above anybody else. You know, for the ones that she loves, and she loves Joel at this
Mm-hmm.
point. You know, she has a strong connection with him,
Yeah.
and he's been, and I think part of that too is the fact that they have been in each other's company day in and day out, 24 hours a day for 4 months now, and
Yeah.
that is a lot of bonding time, whether you want to bond or not.
Yeah. It's bound to happen. I mean, unless one of them is a complete awful person, it's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
right. And even at that point, you know, you can get to, oh, what is it? I forgot the syndrome now.
Oh,
When you're,
when
you know,
when you like your captor.
yeah, you know, I'm just saying, even that,
Yeah.
you know. So you got that going too. But I don't think that's it.
No.
You know, so Ellie goes out and she's like, you know, she's the last of their food. And Joel's not, and he's getting worse. You know, he's got a
Yes.
fever. He's more out of it than in it. And
Clearly, he's got an infection from that
yeah.
wound.
And
Yeah.
so Ellie decides, all right, I'm gonna take the gun and I'm gonna go hunting.
Yeah.
And trying to and she remembers, you know, she when she found that deer. Well, first she got real excited about the rabbit.
Which was a better choice. I'm like, how's she even going to get that deer back?
Well, honestly, she doesn't have to get the whole deer back. She just has to
Just
get,
cut some out and
yeah.
take it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she could have, you know, taken a haunch or something and, you know, left the rest. And it's not like it would go to waste per se.
Yeah.
So but I don't really think she was thinking that far ahead. We need food and this is food and it's right there.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, she, you know, took the gloves off and sighted it in and took the deep breath and the whole thing. And she did a good job.
Shoot it. Yeah, she did get it. So of course she's gonna go after it. And
Oh
when
yeah.
she does, surprise, surprise.
Mm,
Two people are already standing over the deer.
yeah. And we had started off the episode
Yeah.
with this other camp at a funeral. It took me did it take you a few minutes to realize that was a funeral?
Yeah, I'm like, is this a church service?
Yeah. That's what I thought too. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
until the little girl says, "When can we bury my daddy?" That I realized, oh my God, this is a funeral.
Yeah.
Where's the body? You know?
Oh well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when he's reading from Revelations, you know, that's a good one to read at a funeral. And after she asked that question, he's like, you know, I think, you know, this one's getting a little old. Like, you know, we all understand. And maybe he needs some new material, man.
Yeah.
But I gotta tell you, he was creepy to me from the minute I saw him on screen. And he just got creepier throughout the show.
Same. Like from the minute he was talking, I'm like, oh, here we go. He's a Looney Tune. Like,
yeah.
What's wrong with him?
And I will say that this is kind of a trope on almost every single post-apocalyptic show. Mm-hmm. If you're a cult leader or a religious leader, you are a bad man.
Yeah.
And there are a few exceptions, but I mean, even Father Gabriel, though, you know, until he got in with this group and stuff, he was a bad man.
He was bad, but not like this.
Right.
Like this kind of bad.
Yeah, he was a coward, you know.
Yeah.
But
this guy is like.
But religious leaders in the after the apocalypse tend to be terrible human beings.
He's trying to hook up with children.
Yeah. But I mean, we didn't know that at the time. But even just but you had to wonder, because after the service, you know, he's talking to his right-hand man there and he's like, you still with me, right? I need you. Mm-hmm. I need to know that you're behind me. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm losing the flock. I need to know. So at that point, you know, he's up to something shady.
Oh, yeah. And I think it really came home right after, you know, they went out They find Ellie and all this stuff. He sends, we skip ahead a little bit. They come back, and then the little girl of the father who died,
Mm-hmm.
she's like, obviously outraged that they didn't just kill her. They
Yeah.
didn't. And he cold cocks her. Like, damn, he just like that girl on the ground. That happened so fast.
Yeah. I know you think you don't have a father,
Ugh.
but
I'm
that's
like,
not
this guy is
true.
awful. I'm like, oh man, this is not good. She's going off, and he is gonna make her pay for that, and he does. And I'm like, oh, this guy's bad.
Well,
He's
and
really bad.
and it makes you wonder because so all the women there are very submissive.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to wonder what all's
What
going
else is
on.
going on? Yes, because not any of them, no one stood up and said, "What the hell are you doing? Don't touch her." No one came to her defense. Nobody.
No one even moved.
No.
And then he fed her dad.
Okay, look, can I just say, worst cook ever. Like, who the fuck takes raw meat? And I think they told her it was deer meat.
Deer.
Yes. But who the fuck takes raw meat and puts it in stock? You're not going to sear the meat. You're not going to do shit but just throw raw meat into stock. That is probably the nastiest soup they ever ate.
Well, I mean,
let alone it's probably not deer meat. It might be a mix of deer meat and other meat.
I mean, if you simmer it for hours, you can make there
ain't no simmering for hours.
I know. I'm just saying. You can do it then. Soup. But yeah, I mean, and you have to. I mean, it was brown, so I guess it was cooked.
It was cooked, but nasty, no flavor. I guarantee you.
Well, and yeah, because I'm looking. Okay, we all know I hate to cook, but I'm looking at that soup, going, I don't care how little food you have, you can make a better stew than that.
Yes.
All right. It's even in the winter. I mean, there's a couple of carrots in there and stuff too. But I don't know. I guess in my brain, I'm going, oh, baby, come on. We can do a little better than this, right?
Yes, you can do a little better than that. My God. You got a stove, right? You're not cooking in the wilderness. You have some supplies. You just needed protein. But I don't think they were eating straight human meat. I think they were eating a mix as as the animals, like whatever they had of the deer was
well, down. Because they did kind of do a quick inventory that they were what they had. Yeah. So they had a couple rabbits. They had a part of a deer left. What was it? They had couple other things.
Yeah.
They listed like 4 or 5 things, but it didn't, basically they had enough food to maybe last a week.
Oh man, they've been incorporating humans into that food to make it stretch.
Because when we did see the slaughterhouse, that was a lot of humans.
Oh my God. I'm like, ew. It's probably part of the reason his ass so crazy. He eating human people. Doesn't that make you like crazy? At least that's what I hear anyway. I don't know if it's true.
Okay, so there's mad cow disease.
Yeah.
It came from feeding cows to cows.
Uh-huh.
You can get the same thing from humans eating humans. It can cause a neurological and it's mad human disease, I guess. But
well, maybe that's what he has, and he was already crazy because he tells Ellie like, "Oh, we're alike." After he captures her, he's like, "Oh, I can see basically the violence in you because I'm violent." I'm like, "Oh my God!" So, like, just to skip ahead a little bit, this scene where he is talking to her and she's in there, and he is all, I'm like, "You don't know what you're doing, sir. You don't know her." And he puts his hand in there. I said, "Oh, don't do it. She's going to attack you." That minute, I said, "Look, she's going to do something to his hand." She touches his hand. I said, "Oh, no, it's over for you." And she does. She breaks his fucking finger.
I got to tell you, I mean, that was pretty good. Yeah, but I think since she had my thought when she put both of her hands on his like that, I thought she was going to gank him the arm all the way through the bar and then, pry bar it down to break it.
I didn't know she was going to break his hand in that way, but I'm like, she's touching you for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
Not because she's falling for your bullshit.
Oh, yeah. You knew, I mean, there was no way she was going to fall for that.
No.
we have established Ellie's a smart girl.
Oh yeah,
You
she
know,
is. Yeah,
she
she
think
is.
she thinks on her feet, and she has been through a lot,
Mm-hmm.
so she's not easily intimidated. But I think this may have been the first time she's come across a person like him.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. She was like, I think she was traumatized by that interaction with that guy for sure.
Oh
Because
yeah,
that point where, after she throws the log and if the place starts catching fire, first off, I'm like, why did you throw the log? I would have waited for his ass to get on me and I would have punched him in the face with the log. I would have hit him in the face with the burn log. But she
I
threw
didn't.
it.
I didn't understand why she didn't just throw a chair through the window.
I don't know, but she threw the log, the place that catches on fire. Of course, he catches her when she tries to stab him, Well, she does stab him, but he catches her. And I'm like, oh no, again, I think I read too many thrillers and bad books or something because I'm like, I know what he's going to say to her, and he does. I'm like, you're squirming around fighting, and he likes it. I knew it
Yeah,
immediately.
yeah. This is
I'm
my
like,
favorite part.
this is so gross. I was like, oh my God, I cannot
Mhm.
take it. Oh my God.
Well, and you could see that back in the cage,
Yeah,
he was talking, as he's talking to her, you and
he
I'm
is
like,
so
dude, you
gross.
are talking to a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
You and
You
I
and I, ugh,
need, I need another shepherd. I don't need another
no.
sheep.
He tried to
You know,
manipulate her, like, "We are a team. Let's be a team." No, that's not what that is.
yeah, no, that was, he wasn't looking for an quote unquote equal.
No.
But he was hoping that she would take the bait.
Yeah, yeah, that's what he was hoping for. Because guaranteed, had she had agreed, she'd end up like one of the little sheeps in his flock, and he'd be knocking
Mhm.
around and doing whatever to, guaranteed.
Oh yeah, because this is a time where because he's not stupid. If he was
No.
stupid, he couldn't have kept these people together as long as he had.
Mm-mm.
But you don't offer someone like Ellie, a subservient position. It's you offer them the high pedestal and then slowly push them off.
Well, it didn't
And I
work.
imagine that's what he did with a lot of them.
Yes. But can I just say that scene when Ellie gets the upper hand, she beats the living daylights out of it. I'm like, he looks like Suey. I'm sure of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, oh my God. I said, I think he's dead, girl. He's dead. I think he's dead. You can stop now.
Well, at that point, I mean, she was pretty feral.
Yeah, she was. She
And
was. And rightfully so. I get why she
right.
was. But I'm like, oh my God. It was shocking to see, though.
Yeah. And so what you have a lot of that is it's the adrenaline and the fear and
Hmm.
at that point, there's been so much buildup. And as soon as he was dead, it had nowhere to go. And so she just took it out on the body,
Yeah, she
because
did.
yeah. And I mean, and it's a very human reaction,
Absolutely.
and again, I mean, this had been building up, since the time that she had been captured by that. Well, actually, even before this has been building since she found them in front of the deer.
Hmm.
So this has been this escalation of, fear and anxiety and everything, all the bad, terrible things. And that kind of culminated at that moment when, right before she had killed him, when he's like, was it something about love isn't supposed to hurt or love isn't supposed to bring fear or something like that? I don't remember now.
Some shit he said. I'm like, shut the
And
F up, man.
yeah,
What are you saying?
they don't
Yeah.
understand the fighting is my favorite part. Oh, you sick bastard.
I'm like, I was like, oh my God. Even
You know, and that
even my
was,
husband, we're watching, he's like, oh damn. Like even he was taken aback by those words. I'm like, oh, you
yeah,
surprised by this? I'm not.
you know,
Mm,
and so, I mean, there was just, I mean, she was wound, you know,
yeah.
I mean, ready to snap. She was wound so tight. And once
Yes.
she killed him, I mean, there had to be that release. She had to, I mean, there was no way she was just going to stuff all that stuff back down. Oh, okay, he's dead. I can walk away
No.
now.
And you can tell, like, even when she ran out of there and Joel caught her, and, you could tell she is rattled. She's probably will be for a little bit.
Yeah. And then, and Joel got, when he's holding her and he puts that blanket or his coat or whatever over her, and he's like, "It's okay, baby girl. I got
Oh,
you."
look, I said, okay,
And
so before she leaves Joel to try to veer these men away, she gives them the knife. He's like, if someone comes down here, you fucking kill them, right? So he finally starts to rouse, when he hears someone coming, and obviously the antibiotics start working because he was able to get up and defend himself. But I'm
right.
like, oh, he is in full on daddy mode now because he
Oh
is
yeah.
torturing people. He is like,
We are
and
seeing
he's
the old Joel now.
beyond that because now he has a mission. He's like, I need to get her back, right?
Right.
He knows they have her, and
You know,
he's gonna find out where she is.
and the fact that he didn't kill either one of them, he just disabled them and has them tied up. And
Mhm.
then jabs that knife into his knee.
Oh God! And he's like, "I'll pop your kneecap off." I'm like, "Oh my God, don't do it!"
Oh, he'll do it. He's
I
gonna do
know,
it.
but
But
the
and
thought
it's
of it,
funny though, because he pulls out the map and he does the same thing that he did with the
yeah,
Indian couple. But that was kind of funny. This was not funny,
no, no,
but
it was not.
it was almost word for word what he had said to them.
Yeah,
Show me, and it better match with what the other one says.
because he knows that works and it'll get the truth. He's done
Yeah.
it, so he probably used that more than one other time.
Oh yeah. That this is a trick that he has used before in the
Hmm.
past. And and so he finds out where they are, and he just straight I honestly I thought he was initially going to leave them tied up. I don't know why, but no, kills them, and then goes over to the other guy. I don't, I'll show you where we're at. I'll tell you anything you want to know. Yeah, he's like, I don't need you anymore. Wham.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's like, already got the information. Thank you very
yeah,
much.
and just straight up kills them. And it
Yeah.
is interesting to see because what started this whole thing was the guy from that encampment attacking Joel.
Mhm.
Or, well, actually, was going after Ellie, but ended up getting Joel.
Yes.
And my guess is they were trying to kill them so they could hang them up for meat.
Yes. So which is wild because they are all like, kill them. They killed such and such, but they were the aggressors. They were
Mhm.
being aggressive. And then what do you think is going to happen? Like,
Oh yeah, I mean, if they could have, I'm pretty sure what it would have been if Joel had not been able to stop this guy. The end game was to capture Ellie or even kill Ellie,
mhm.
um, and Joel and the horse because
Honestly, everyone wanted to kill Ellie except the crazy preacher guy.
mhm,
Everyone else wanted to just kill her. They were going to just kill her. And then he
right,
caught them and stopped them.
right, so but as for that community, killing Joel, Ellie, and the horse, if they'd done it back in the university, they could have
Mhm.
drug all of them back, hung them up, and that would have fed them
Mhm.
for quite a while.
Yeah.
The horse alone would have fed them for quite a while,
Yeah.
and because bigger than a deer,
But
but
what I think I liked most about this episode is I feel like heading into the season finale, which is next week,
yeah,
I feel like we have fully, completely turned the corner. We see Joel is full on in his protective dad mode.
mm-hmm.
And I feel like he is over trying to pretend that they have any other kind of relationship than the one that they do.
Yeah, but especially in this I mean, last episode too, but particularly this one, it wasn't Joel that saved her. She
She
saved
saved
Joel,
herself. Right.
and then
Right.
she saved herself.
Right. No, I'm not trying to say that he saved her. I'm trying to say that he realizes through the efforts of trying to find her how he
Hmm.
actually feels about her. That
Yeah.
is like a kid to me.
Oh yeah, but
Right.
the relationship dynamics are because he has been trying so hard to protect her, and to keep all these bad things from her, and has been in a way wanting her dependent on him to protect her, but
Mhm.
it was she was able to not only protect him, but save herself. And so I think for her, once she gets over some of the initial trauma, it's going to change. Their dynamic is going to change a lot. And he's looking at her as a daughter, and she still very much sees him as a father figure,
Mm-hmm.
her protector. But she also knows now that she can protect herself.
Right. And actually, I think this is going to be a good thing because as we talked about before, he was kind of like trying to shelter her, but I
Mm-hmm.
think that he probably won't be doing that anymore.
Yeah. Well, and part of his anxiety was he was thinking that her entire safety rested in him. That
Right.
if he faltered, if he if he couldn't be everything, that something bad would happen to Ellie. And this showed him that something bad did happen to him, and they both survived.
They did
You know,
by the skin of their teeth, to be quite frank. Honestly,
right?
she got out of it, but just barely.
And I'm not saying that they weren't scraped up, but at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, that anxiety that Joel was having, that everything was absolutely on, that if something happened to him, she could not survive, isn't necessarily true.
Yeah. And he sees that now. Like there's no denying it.
Yeah. And I think that
Yeah.
will help, because I think that's part of what was kind of paralyzing him, was that anxiety, because he was having full on, full blown panic attacks, anxiety attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And while bad things did happen to him, to her, they did both survive, and they did manage to find each other and get out of there alive.
Yeah, they did.
I also found it kind of interesting that entire building was on fire and not a single person in that town came to see what was going
I
on.
know. Like, where are all your quote unquote people? What's happening?
I mean, I will say all the men folk had been killed.
A good majority of them have been killed. Yeah.
Yeah, because there weren't that many men there. I mean, there was a group of them, but they were all with, you know, crazy
All
leader.
hunting, trying to, yeah.
Yeah. So, and
Mm.
so they're all gone. So it was pretty much just the women and children at that point. Not a single one went, building's on fire. Perhaps
Oh,
we
they
should
must not be allowed out of their rooms in the daytime or some crazy shit.
something. I really, I through that whole thing with the fires going, I'm like, not a single person's yelling fire or, anything. Nothing.
Nope. The whole place was going to burn to the ground and no one's going to try to stop it. I mean, honestly, when Ellie threw the log and, the curtain caught fire, I'm like, you should stop and try to put the fire out.
Yeah.
You should. He didn't even pause. He's like,
Well,
fuck it.
he did pause. He kind of looked at it and went, nope, getting Ellie's more important.
What's more important, the fire or her?
Right.
But still, I'm like, you're gonna let the whole place where you like cook your food and stuff just go up in flames?
Well, I guess there was I'm sure there was other buildings they could have used. I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I guess when you're a predator, you can't think of anything else besides
yeah.
what you think
I
you
mean,
want.
he was. I mean, from his point of view, I mean, there's a couple things going on here. One, he saw her as a victim or saw her as weak, and then he thought he could manipulate her, and then she broke his hand. And then she scared the crap out of him. She's like,
Well,
I bet
he
you and I'm
liked it.
infected.
He liked all of it, probably. So he probably was like, "Oh, he said you're like me. You're violent like me." He probably wants somebody he can go around or two with. Honestly, he's crazy,
right? But I mean,
and sick.
But I think there was that moment where he was terrified when she told him, "I'm infected."
Oh yeah, just for that half a millisecond. She got just a couple of seconds to kill that other guy.
Yeah, but I mean, she bit him good too.
Yeah, she did.
And so at that point, I think it was, no matter how it ended, he was not going to let her go. So fire can rage and everything else, but the priority is get her.
Yeah.
Nothing else mattered.
Which is why he had to die the way he did.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was a really intense episode.
It was. It was like, wow, I just cannot believe. And so going into the season finale, I think this is the first time I have ever said about a show between that we've both talked about that I like that entire freaking season. There has
Yeah.
not been one episode that has been weak or pointless. Not one.
I mean, it has been a brilliantly, tightly held together story.
Yes. It's so good. It's like that's why I kind of obviously this season has already been approved for, season 2, right?
Hmm.
We know that they might even start filming season 2 this year. Um
Yep.
but
And
I
they
feel
did, and
like
they have said that they are not going to go past the video game.
right, which is kind of what I was leaning into is that I think this is why this show will be so great through the end of
Hmm.
it. Because we know HBO in the past has a horrible track record. Once they run out of source material, they go left.
Right.
It's bad.
And it
So
is.
now I think they've kind of learned the lesson, right? They plan to stay on track with
Hmm.
what has been published, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Well, and the creators of the video game have said that they're almost finished with the third one.
Yeah.
So by the time they finish, they wrap up season 2 and yada yada, they'll have the third game pretty much finalized. So they'll be able to
Go on,
um, go move on to the third
maybe.
season.
Well, I'm curious because I personally feel like season 2 will be a lot different than season 1.
Hmm.
And again, I have not played the game, so I don't know for sure, right? But just my guessing, I have a
Yeah.
feeling it won't be similar at all. So I'm curious to see what it looks like, how they proceed. But
Well, I
so
mean,
far so good.
we do know that there will be a time jump in the next
Yep.
season. Um, she'll be 19, I think is what
She'll
they
be
said.
playing her real actual age.
Her actual age.
Yeah.
And she's such a tiny little thing. You know, everyone
You
towers
know,
over her.
I saw this thing where they were saying like for most of her scenes this season, they had her breast taped down because
Yeah,
she would look a lot younger, like
yeah, and I did know that.
undeveloped. Yeah.
She's
Like,
just so
well,
short. You know.
Well, honestly, even in this episode, after seeing like she looked older to me playing this last episode. Her
Mm,
face looked older, her expressions looked older, but she was dealing with something very serious, right? She
yeah,
wasn't trying to be funny and childlike, right?
right,
She looked
exactly,
different.
right.
Yeah.
So so we know that again next season she'll be playing her own age. She'll be about 19 years old,
Yeah.
and and we know that by the end of this episode, as soon as he put that blanket on her and says, "I got you, baby girl,"
Yeah.
we know that their relationship is very different.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm
Like
curious to
her
see how they
adopted
end.
dad. She adopted him.
Yeah, I am
Yeah.
curious how they're going to end this because like you said, we don't play the video game, so I have an idea of how the scope of this goes, but I don't know the actual ending, and I want to keep it that way.
Same. So I think either one of two things are going to happen because I feel like either cuz with video games even I think it's kind of like TV shows, you may or may not get another one, right? Depending
Hmm.
on how the sales go and stuff. So if the video game ended on a cliffhanger, we're going to surely get a hit cliffhanger. And if the
Right,
video left it kind of ambiguous, it's going to be the show to make the choice to give us a cliffhanger or not.
right. So
Hmm. I don't know. I'm just looking forward to seeing what they do. I'm not gonna whatever it is, I'm sure it'll be brilliant, honestly.
yeah, I mean, I'm not going into the season finale going, oh God, what are they gonna do?
Oh, isn't it refreshing? I'm
It
telling you, it's so
very,
refreshing to feel this way about a show.
and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah. Mm, me too. All right, I think we
So
should end there. What do you think, Lisa?
I think that sounds good.
Yeah, we'll be right back here next week to talk about the season 1 finale. So we'll be here with us. It's going to be a good time. you're still listening to the sound of my voice, thanks for listening to the entire episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe before you go. And we will catch you guys next week. Take care of yourselves. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.